Hello there, you awakening wonders. Thanks so much for joining me for Stay Free with Russell Brand today after the New Hampshire primary provided victory for Donald Trump, even though Nikki Haley seems to be thinking of it as something of a personal victory. We're just adjusting the camera now if I'm not absolutely in focus. Hey, what is fascinating to me with regard to that story is it seems that Democrats were voting for Nikki Haley and she's the preferred candidate of Democrats. And we know that there's a long history within that organization for Pied Piper strategies, voting for MAGA candidates, even funding MAGA candidates in order to bias the political field. It's extraordinary too that whilst Biden did have a victory in his own primary, who's that dude? Phillips? What's his name? Dean Phillips. I like that guy. I saw him talking. He seems like, he's trying to create a politics of conciliation. But as you know, on this channel, we believe that it's the system itself that needs deep scrutiny and change. That's what was revealed to us during the pandemic period. A level of corruption was shown to us that can never be undone. Legacy media participation in the amplification and normalization of the establishment agenda. Still to this day, the WHO are trying to push for a treaty that would ensure that they will be able to control the laws in your nation in the event of another pandemic. Guys, would you adjust that screen as per our note yesterday so that the visible part of my screen isn't in? Excellent work. Well done, guys. We'll be looking in depth at, this is one of those stories that absolutely you would have written off as conspiracy theory in 2020, that gain of function and bioweapon research was happening simultaneously at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, new reporting suggests. That's not 100% certain, but it's extremely likely. Can you believe that? I.e., do you remember the first time someone said, I think it's a bioweapon? You lunatic, you crackpot, you tin hat wearing nut job. Well, turns out that that's closer to facts than anything you might have heard on the legacy media. Remember Bobby Kennedy, that outlier, that renegade, said those things publicly and in print in a book that was a bestseller for a long time, but that the New York Times legacy media advocate, legacy media artifact, refused to publish. Extraordinary times we live in. What is the function of the legacy media? What is the function of the state? Is the state's job to protect you from who? Who do you want to be protected from? With it recently being revealed just today, I think, that Justin Trudeau acted illegally in evoking those emergency powers. Who do you feel like you want protection from the state or protection by the state? If you want the state to protect you, press 1. If you want to be protected from the state, press 2. Let me see those 1s and 2s in the Rumble chat right now and in our Awakened Wonder chat, because you can, of course, become a supporter of our work. So many of you have, and we're enormously grateful to you, Jamie Jam and Holy Master and Pippa Day and Sue Biz 22. We love you. That's why we create extra content for you every single day and exclusive content. Just had an amazing conversation with Dr. Drew. Man, he's been on a journey. He tells us in our conversation how he went during the AIDS crisis as a young doctor, thinking that Fauci was a hero, to a very different stance on Fauci now. That's a conversation that you'll be seeing later this week, and you'll get additional access to if you are a Locals member. Pride Faults in the Awaken Wonder chat saying now Bear is photobombing you with an ear, which is just the sort of bum move I've learned to expect from that dog, who's got an emotional support card that I feel could be revoked any day now. We'll be talking about Justin Trudeau, the beautifully coiffured face of modern fascism, in a minute. The evocation of those emergency powers has been shown to be illegal in Canada. And for a moment, imagine, you know me, I think we need radical systemic change. I think that localization is the answer. I think that you should be eating food raised or grown near you. I think you should have control over your community. I think you should have control over your own life, and your individual sovereignty is sacrosanct. That's what I believe. But can you imagine that if Donald Trump had evoked illegally emergency powers? Isn't the whole hysteria around January 6th all about he incited an insurrection? And are we beginning to understand that the trucker movement was a kind of piloting for the rhetoric around, let's call it what it is, working class movements. Ordinary working people are loathed and despised by the establishment. The professional metropolitan media class loathe ordinary working people. They loathe their movements, whether that's the agricultural movement that seems to be spontaneously springing up around the world. What are they? Oh, they're fascists and they're racist, when really their requirements seem to be pretty ordinary. They don't actually want subsidy. They want fairness. They want the end of a globalist agenda to impose total control over food. If they can control our food, if they can control our water, if they can control our media, they have total control. I see that there's an enormous 15,000 of you watching us in the Rumble chat right now. I see Kyle Rono hitting us with a F Trudeau, the same lyrics coming out of Muck. You're moving fast. The chat is moving pretty fast today over on Rumble. So we're going to look a little bit at the New Hampshire primary. We'll be asking some questions about whether it's being gerrymandered and maneuvered, whether there's a preference to have Nikki Haley as a candidate, whether or not Donald Trump will even run ultimately, and whether or not Trump will be able to oppose the establishment that he has long created rhetorical flair around. Drain the swamp, all of that gear. Yeah, we're at 15,000. If you're watching us on YouTube, we'll be available there for about 15 minutes, because we value you Awaken Wonder, but you will know by now that the WHO regulate that channel. That means there's things that we cannot say there that we can simply say freely in the stream, the free stream of Rumble. You will know by now that the government of the UK demanded we were demonetised, or asked that we were demonetised, but it was a person that headed up the board that regulates social media said Russell Brand should be demonetised in an unprecedented move. So of course we like to speak freely over on Rumble because they support our free speech. Let's have a look at Donald Trump right now winning the Republican presidential primary, as broadly predicted, and let's look at how the legacy media covered it. We got Elon Musk right now saying that X is a competitor to legacy media. I know that our little channel and our community is regarded as a threat, an opponent, and a challenge to legacy media. Let's see how they report on just a simple matter. You would have thought a victory speech by a candidate in a primary. This is bread and butter everyday news. Shouldn't be a subject for controversy. Yet, if you're a CNN viewer, if you're an MSNBC viewer, and thank the Lord above, there are less and less of them every single day, they regard that as the sort of thing that needs to be censored. If you're watching us on YouTube, we're going to be here for a few minutes more, but we need you to join our movement. We need you more than ever before.
And she doesn't win this. This is not your typical victory speech, but let's not have somebody take a victory when she had a very bad...
I'm starting to get seduced. I'm starting out. This is getting dizzying. The elixir of the language is starting to get to me.
Bad night. She had a very bad night.
A couple quick...
No, I'm not. No. Now for some nitpicking. That's nitpick now. Right. Now, actually, Nikki Haley has won some polls in the past. Oh, if you want to do some investigative reporting on Nikki Haley, how about the story that Democrat voters are voting for Nikki Haley in order to skew the statistics? How about the numerous military-industrial complex organizations that are funding the Nikki Haley campaign? How about a democratic system that only allows homogenized candidates to make it to the front line in an attempt to ensure that systems are never challenged by the trifling matter of the views of the American people? And is it not the same for all of the world's supposed free states that ultimately we toil under the yoke of centralist, globalist establishment forces, somehow inaccessible to us unless you're watching Davos, when it becomes pretty clear? Fortunately, people are awakening to this game, and that is what they fear most. Whether it's Elon's rhetoric around Ireland and Conor McGregor's post on X, we'll be talking about that a little later, or people turning away from CNN in record numbers. We'll be tagging that in just a second, but let's have a look at the rest of CNN. Quaking, terrified that Donald Trump might say some words on a TV set. How anti-democratic does this situation have to get? Like Joe Biden, he won't run in primaries in Florida. Have you seen that guy, Dean Phillips? He's an absolute bloody sweetheart. I went and spoke to some MAGA voters and Trump supporters, and they were all very kind, lovely people. Not the basket of deplorables that Hillary Clinton has us primed to expect. Once again, ordinary working people loathed by the establishment. Why? Because those are the very people that can oppose that agenda. Because this is the simple fact: if, like the farmers across Europe right now, people unite; if, like the Canadian truckers, people unite; if we unite, We are an unstoppable force. That's why the culture constantly stokes division. That's why the culture wants you full of doubt. That's why the culture wants you hypnotized by a screen full of bad food, taking bad pharma all of the time. Because you are powerful, not because you are weak. We are powerful when we unite. We are powerful when we access the divine. Let's see what the CNN have got to say about the rest of it. Yeah, we'll be talking about the trucker protest later, Bella Farron, if that is indeed your correct name. People still saying F Trudeau. You're having some problems with some freezing. Could it be the cyber attack we're anticipating? Cover the Carrie Lake story. We'll do it tomorrow. Oh, and will we get round to you? Talking about the Carrie Lake being offered money to drop out. Interesting story, interesting story. Let's have a look at the rest of this on CNN.
Fact checks here. The former president said that he's won every single New Hampshire election he's been in, which is not true, including general elections. He also said Nikki Haley doesn't beat Joe Biden in the polls. That is also not true. Nikki Haley has beaten the president in several polls.
It also says here that people are watching Cowboys channels more than they are watching CNN and History Channel. CNN not only finished behind rivals Fox and MSNBC, was the 10th most watched channel on cable, getting beat by Hallmark, although they do some good shows, History Channel and INSP, a South Carolina-based channel founded in the late 70s by Christian televangelists. So, like, they do Christian televangelism, and then, like, but I'd also like to have some good old-fashioned frontier movies about cowboys. That is deemed more relevant by viewers than CNN. What is going on over there? Did you see that our man Dean Phillips, who I think is pretty sweet, you know, he overperformed. He got 21% of the vote, apparently. Look at Biden's speech. Did you see his speech? I don't actually, let me know in the chat if you know what it is he's saying. Like, if you actually understand it. I'm not even being facetious here. I'm not being cynical. I happen to believe that Joe Biden now is sort of, in a sense, a living epitaph and the perfect sign for an atrophying and decaying democracy that is trying to hold itself together and is almost unconsciously, through archetypal forces, revealing a deeper truth through the waxen and cadaverous figure stumbling through language that is Joe Biden. But in this instance, I actually don't really get his point. You guys in the chat, let me know if you get his point, and we'll, if you can answer correctly what it is he's trying to say. There's a mug in it for you, baby. There's a mug in it for you. Let's have a look.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
I'm gonna teach Donald Trump a lesson. Don't mess with the bibbit in America unless you want to get the benefit. Don't mess with the bibbit of America unless you want to get the benefit. Whatever it is that you don't mess with, it feels like getting the benefit is... I mean, I actually don't understand it. I'm not even being facetious. A lot of people, Disco Duck 2 in the chat. What? WTF? Cadaverous. Someone's pointing out that they like that as an adjective. Corn pop. What the hell's been going on? Did you hear Elon Musk talking about the hate speech laws in Ireland? Evidently, as this system atrophies, as even its symbols and its signs and its leaders decay before our eyes, what choice do they have but to impose authoritarianism? You'll be familiar, if you followed the great work of, say, Michael Schellenberger, that across the world, censorship laws are being introduced. There's an online safety bill introduced in our country, introduced by the very person, incidentally, who demanded that our YouTube channel be demonetized, and of course YouTube complied. Well, there are hate speech laws being passed all around the world. Oh, because what? Someone might say something hateful. There's something hateful like never trust the system again. Never trust them again. Overcome your cultural, ideological and religious differences and unite right now against your true enemy, the bad actors of the state and their corporate partners. Unify. Be willing to overlook the differences in one another. Look within your heart. There is a might, there is a power, there is a great beauty that comes directly from God that will fuel you in your opposition to these dark satanic forces that cover the globe like an insidious vine. Is that hate speech? I'm talking about love speech. Love is what they fear, not hatred. Here's Elon Musk talking about the hate laws. And by the way, they don't define what hate actually is. Is he saying pay for sex? Yeah, maybe that's what Biden was saying just then. It's very confusing. It's very confusing to understand what the President of the United States means when he talks. It's confusing. Let's have a look at Elon talking about those hate speech laws in Ireland, and Conor McGregor has, of course, reacted.
The thing we should be concerned about is if the Irish Parliament passes a bill that defines hate speech as whatever they think hate speech is, people should be extremely concerned about that.
they think hate speech is. One of the things that we've noticed that's been pointed out is that there are very diffuse, vague descriptions. People don't tell you what is hate speech. Tell us what it is so we know. You also saw that piano player in the UK, just getting busted and moved on because there were some people from China in the back of his shop when he was just freely larking around making YouTube, and the police came over. What's interesting now is the forces of the state appear to be operating on behalf of peculiar agents and operatives. That's what I would say. Now, I've got friends in the police force. I know there's a lot of good people working in the police force, people that are guided by principles of service. But when the power of the state is turned against the people that it's supposed to protect and serve, we got a serious problem. And this hate speech censorship issue is something that I think that needs to be discussed at length and at depth. Let me know in the chat if you would like to see Elon Musk, maybe Conor McGregor, maybe Dana White, Chris Pavlovsky, head of Rumble, who's been very vocal on this, brought together to have a debate. Schellenberger, one of the most important voices, Michael Schellenberger, one of the Twitter Files journalists, come together to talk about the threat of the global censorship industrial complex. What happens when we lose free speech? What happens when we yield to the establishment narrative that free speech is somehow synonymously hate speech? Don't we have to overlook our differences and unite against this establishment power? I'd like to see it. Would you like to see it? Elon Musk, Chris Pavlovsky, Conor McGregor, Dana White, Michael Schellenberger, I'll host the damn thing. Do you think, well, there's a variety. Do not comply, April Appling saying in the chat. I think it's a good idea. Let's see what our man, let's listen to the rest of Elon's thing.
You're just at the mercy of the ruling party and whatever bureaucrats they put in place. And they can just define something that really is not hate speech as hate speech just because they don't like it.
Brangino Army, you're right. You got to get Dan Bongino there. Some people saying, should we get Trudeau to come? Do you think Trudeau's going to come? Did you see his contrition over the Emergency Act? You've got to see that moment. If we got that footage, Gareth, it's amazing. The bit where Justin Trudeau goes, I was just trying my best. He sort of basically says, it weren't my idea. He said, I just signed it. I was just Prime Minister at the time. They hate them truckers because truckers come together to oppose the establishment. They hate those farmers. Those farmers come together to oppose the establishment. They hate MAGA. It's ordinary people coming together to oppose the establishment. It don't matter if you think you're left or right. Those terms don't matter anymore. It's over. It's the establishment versus all humanity before they have total automation, before they have total police militarization, before they have total protest law control, before they have total censorship and surveillance control. The clock is ticking, baby. Listen, we got to leave YouTube right now. I'm going to start reading. Put the 30-second countdown on. Listen, look at this tweet from Connor. With the countdown still going, baby. Elon, your consistent support on this matter has been truly appreciated. I like this. Imagine Connor, he's swaggering around, he's doing that arm thing that he does. He's moving into politics. Don't we need more and more figures like Connor entering the political space? Oh, you can't have Conor McGregor. He's working class. He speaks funny. He's got tattoos. This is exactly what we need. This is the kind of uprising we need. Hey, if you're watching us on YouTube, how much longer? We've got 4 seconds more. Join us. Click the link. Join us over on Rumble now for freedom.